All right, so this is a very easy pork dish. Again, really super fast in the middle of the week. It makes 2 pork tenderloins into a really nice juicy meat. It was actually one of the first real pieces of meat that my kids would eat because it actually stays so juicy and it's really delicious. It's just a really great and fast way to make a lot of pork that I think your kids will like. So I'm going to show you, we take 2 pork tenderloins like this, and this one I've actually already cleaned off some of just the bits of fat, but especially this little silver skin underneath, which really isn't very nice to chew on. And I think once you get to the table and you want to eat this right away, you don't want to have to worry about cutting off this silver skin. So I'm just going to take it off the outside of the fat really quickly, and if you just slip a knife very carefully away from your body, right under a bit of silver skin, and just kind of grab it, pull the knife back along the side of it, so you're just actually using the silver skin itself, which is, it doesn't break down in cooking like other parts of the meat might. It just actually comes off really quickly. So away that goes, really fast. Oh, that was fun. I used to actually work in a grocery store and had a couple weeks training in the meat market, which is quite a fascinating section of the grocery store to work in. So I'm going to light the stove top. I'm going to get it up to about a medium-high heat. So I want to sear the meat on all sides before we put it in the oven. So that's kind of the main reason we're going to spend 10 minutes on the stove top. There we go. So again, make sure this is nice and hot to start, because you want to make sure that when you put the meat in, it sears right away. So this is in. We're going to sear it in a little bit of olive oil. So a tablespoon, maybe 2. Again, whatever you can. That might be a little much, but that's okay. We'll coat the bottom of the pan and make sure it's all warm and ready for the meat. There we go. Okay. All right, let's go back and get the meat, because I think that is almost ready, which is right here. I'm going to put it on a nice plate here, so we can get it over to the counter. Great. Easily. So, all right, got hot pan, hot olive oil. Ah, good. In here it's sizzling away. Great. Okay, so the meat is in. While it's cooking on one side, we're going to do the seasoning now, so that we'll season on both sides. But we'll do a little bit of salt. Don't be afraid to salt your meat while it's cooking. It's okay. It'll help bring out the juices. A little garlic powder. Again, just a nice sprinkle along the edge. I'm going to season it. A couple turns of pepper. There we go. And I like to use dried basil. You could use fresh basil too. It's just easier to crinkle the dried basil right across the top. Again, this is some of last year's basil that did not get made into pesto. And I find actually I use it quite a bit during the year. So if you have extra basil lying around, either from the store or your garden, just put it on a plate and dry it for a couple of days. It might take a week, but it's fine. Okay, this is going to take about 5 minutes. I'm going to get a little guy over here to help us kind of move it around a little bit. It might stick and pop at you. Don't worry. There we go. All right. So the goal is to sear all sides. So let's see what we can do. Flip it over. And these are kind of round, guys, so you might do it on 3 sides like a triangle to try to get all the sides done. But you want to be able to put it into the oven with everything seared. Okay, so now it's on the other side. We're going to season this side as well. So again, a little bit of salt. Just about a teaspoon on each side. No measuring, just looks good. Not overdone, just a taste. Garlic powder. Give it a nice little garlicky flavor. And a little more basil. So again, just in your hands, crunch it up. And whatever juice comes out of these pork tenderloins is going to be at the bottom of this pot, so they'll be able to scoop it up at the end. Okay, so this is browning really nicely. Okay, you can hear it sizzling. That's good too. Just make sure it's not burning too fast. So you don't want it smoking like that, really, except when you turned it over. Okay, let's sear this side too. This is a very traditional French way of cooking meat, to sear it on the stovetop first in this kind of a pan, and then pop it into the oven to finish cooking slowly. So that way you seared all the juices inside, but you've got a nice crust, and inside it can cook and take its time. So I'm going to just roll this guy over to make sure I get all the parts. There we go. Ooh, smells good already. Okay. So, I think it's set. So, there we go. Keep turning it. There we go. So you can see it getting nice and brown. There's a nice sort of crust brown flavor coming on the side there. I'm going to smush it around a little bit to make sure it's got some olive oil to cook in. There we go. Great. You could certainly do this with a lot of different types of meat. A bigger cut of pork will work well. Chicken, you could do it with duck. You could do it a lot of different types of meat. Okay, we're now ready to put this guy in the oven. So make sure you've got 2 of these ready, because you probably could pick it up, but I wouldn't recommend it. All right. So you kind of also want to make sure you've got room in the oven, which is at 350, remember? Room for the pot, right in the center of the oven. So it's not broiling, it's just cooking at 350. Make sure to turn that off. Oops, all the way off. And then close. So that's in now for 10 minutes. All right, so let's check on the pork. It's been in for about 10 minutes. Again, this could, I'm going to check it, because it could change depending on the size of the little tenderloins, but they're usually about the same size. So, all right. Okay, the best way to check it, actually, you don't want to stick a knife and cut it, because you don't want to be releasing a lot of the juices right now, because it might need a little bit more cooking time. So I'm going to take a look in. It smells really good. Kind of stick it with your finger, and if it's, I know this is something I learned. If you make a fist and it's really tight, that's kind of well done. But if you release your hand, it's soft in the middle, that's kind of nice and pink. But it's not rare, so that's really good. So what we're going to do now is just going to leave it here for 10 minutes to rest. All right, so we've let this pork sit for about 10 minutes, so that way it rests, it retains and sort of sucks back all that juice into the pork tenderloin. So this guy is great. I'm going to take a look inside the pan, because it's got all these really delicious juices. So you could do a couple things. You could put it back over the stove if you want and pour in a little sherry or something and get off all the nice bits. Or you can just kind of scrape it out, which is just fine. And pour all that nice good juice, olive oil, gooey bits right over the top of the... So there we go. That is pork tenderloin with a little bit of basil on the top.